2016, I went for a pilgrimage to Częstochowa, which is one of the famous sanctuaries in Poland, the place of pilgrimages where millions of people go every year from different cities. From my city, it takes 7 days to go there, and I took this pilgrimage, which was spiritually and physically very interesting and difficult experience. And on that pilgrimage, I received some graces and inspirations to pursue priesthood. The message from God was really clear for me. And after finishing the pilgrimage, I pursued discernment, really like concretely asking God if priesthood is my way. And through this priest, Father David Kwiatkowski, who was back then, and he's still here, was in Savannah Diocese. Whenever he came back for vacations later on in December, the same year, 2016, I asked him about studying in the United States, if it's possible, and what are the chances that he could go there and study to priesthood. And he was very blunt that, yeah, that's opportunity, and he doesn't see any problems with that. So he, while on this meeting, he sent an email to the bishop back then, Bishop Hartmeyer. And while we were talking, the Bishop Hartmeyer responded that he is interested and open for that. So in that very moment, my life was basically changing. So since then, the diocese invited me to come over to visit a couple of weeks later, and I came here. I felt my intuition was that this is where I'm supposed to be.
I think many things. I think my family's devotion to the church, being involved in the youth group. I was named after Bishop Kevin Boland, so he's my parents' pastor when they were kids. So there's always an importance of my name, where that came from. When I was a kid, I felt like I was called at Mass to replace Father Fred Nigel one day, be a priest. And so that's always been on the back of my mind. Ran from that for a little bit in high school and college. But I think one of the big things too is retreats that I went to, but one of the biggest things is the regular presence of priests in my family's life. I can think of every priest that has been Sacred Heart and Robbins, and there are other priests, but mainly it's the Sacred Heart priests that, because of my parents' involvement in the parish, they came over for dinner. We'd have Father Fred Nigel, Monsignor Nigel over for Christmas Eve dinner. There's deep sense of respect, and because of that normalcy of that, I could see that was, as I believe it's a line Father Tim McEwen uses, like putting priesthood just on the menu, in a sense of like all the other job descriptions, like, oh, like priesthood's a possibility as well, just because the familiarity with it all.
Little things, little acts of devotion. When I was in 10th grade, I went to our DYC in 2015, and I remember having an encounter with Jesus in the Eucharist. Just in adoration. It was the first time I've ever been to adoration, and it was that moment of realizing that Christ was present, and like seeing the priest at the time who was doing the adoration, he was physically crying, and that's when I saw the humanity of Christ through the priest, and that's when I think I started my inspiration to enter seminary.
I will say what inspired me to say yes to Jesus' call to become a priest. First, I will say to serve, but service is not particular of a priest. I mean, you can serve wherever you are, whatever walk of life you take, you can serve. But the thing that you can touch the hearts of many people through sacramental service and pastoral service, that makes the whole difference.
For me, the Sacrament of Reconciliation was really what inspired me to enter seminary. After having a very powerful encounter with the Lord in the Sacrament of Reconciliation, I really began to think about what is it that I want to do. And I could not get the image out of my head that I was a priest absolving others. And that sort of image that I received in that reconciliation really stuck with me and really led me into the process of seminary.
Well, of course, the Holy Spirit. But really, the example of a good and holy Irish priest who was really my first pastor when I was growing up as a young child. seeing his joy, his holiness, his love for the people of the parish really did inspire me.
The one thing inspired me to enter the seminary is I want to become a priest. I want to serve the people, and I want to serve the people of God.
I perceived the voice of God. I perceived that I was called to follow him, and where he was calling me was to seminary.
It was the Eucharist for like, that's a short version, and yeah, it was, I was in adoration one night and I just realized that there really wasn't anything else in my whole life that I wanted more than to spend time with Jesus. And I realized that, like, why am I pursuing a career and doing all this stuff if, like, my heart really just wants to be with Jesus?